Hi, welcome to Bookie. To unlock more world-class bestseller, please download our app. Just search for BOOKEY at Apple Store or Google Play. You will get 7 days free trial with more features. Today we'll unlock the book Steve Jobs. Who would you think of when we speak of the innovators in history who have changed the world? Einstein, Napoleon, Martin Luther King Jr., or Bill Gates? Those great human beings went their own way with great willpower and ability to take action. Some of them changed the world in the course of human history. Some of them made great inventions that changed our lifestyle. Of course, there have also been a handful of people who felt that no rules in the world could control them. A man like this said with confidence that, to live is to change the world. Many see him as a genius and a crazy man at the same time. This is the co-founder of Apple Incorporated, Steve Jobs. In his lifetime, Jobs played a major role in the creation of two public companies, Apple Incorporated and Pixar Animation Studios. Among them, Apple's worth has reached over $1 trillion, and it has stayed in the top 1 place of the most admired global company, ranking of Fortune magazine for 11 consecutive years. Ever since the founding of Apple, Jobs has revolutionized 6 industries: personal computers, animated movies, music, phones, tablet computing, and digital publishing. The lives of people around the world have been revolutionized thanks to him. The author of this book, Walter Isaacson, is a famous biographer from the United States. He has been the managing editor of Time magazine and the CEO of CNN, the world media giant. He has written biographies of some world-changing figures, like Leonardo da Vinci, Benjamin Franklin, and Albert Einstein. Jobs personally asked Isaacson twice to write the biography for him. He thought that Isaacson was good at getting people to talk, and believed totally in his ability to write a great biography. The author made more than 40 in-depth face-to-face interviews with Jobs along the way. Jobs was essentially a very private person, but he gave the author no restrictions in this matter. Isaacson was even allowed unrestricted interviews with more than 100 people, including Jobs' family members, friends, co-workers, and even competitors and enemies. This helped him verify the authenticity of related events. All of this allowed the making of the book Steve Jobs as we have it today. In today's Bookie, we will introduce you to the legendary life of Jobs in 3 parts. First, the becoming of his genius and craziness. Second, the key to the uniqueness of Apple. And third, the unknown side of Jobs. Albert Einstein once said, "Any fool can make things more complicated, only a genius can make things easier." Without a doubt, Steve Jobs is a genius among geniuses. Steve Jobs' biological mother, Joanne, came from a Catholic family of German descent. She fell in love with John Dolly, a Muslim Syrian, but her father strongly opposed this relationship. Even so, Joanne still got pregnant and gave birth to a baby boy at the age of 23. Although she didn't want to, Joanne had to abandon the baby under intense pressure. Later, the boy was adopted by Paul and Clara Jobs. The couple raised Steve Jobs as their own child, giving him all their love. Jobs learned that he was adopted when he was 6 or 7 years old. One day, when he mentioned this to a little friend, she asked in surprise, "So, does that mean your real parents didn't want you?" Jobs felt like he'd been struck by a lightning bolt, and ran to confront his adoptive parents. They told him, "No, you have to understand. We specifically picked you out." Since his adoptive parents gave him much love and care, Jobs saw his abandonment and adoption as something that had made him more independent. However, the extreme desire for control in his personality might have come from his life experience as an abandoned kid. The deep insecurity inside his heart made him want to take control of everything around him. When Jobs was 5, his family moved to Mountain View, a city in the southern part of the San Francisco Bay and the origin of Silicon Valley. There were 2 factors that shaped the future of this area. First, A large number of returning university students after the Second World War boosted entrepreneurship and employment in this area. Stanford University, which was located here, opened an industrial park. One of the first companies that settled there was Hewlett-Packard. Kodak and General Electric also set up technology research centers later. At the end of the 1960s, various cultural trends converged in San Francisco and Silicon Valley. The technological revolution took place with the development of military contractors, and various venture investments also emerged. Then electronic companies, microchip manufacturers, and computer companies came along. Second, the subculture of hackers also appeared here. These hackers had a keen interest in the electronics industry, and most of them were experienced players in this industry. Inspired by various ideas and opportunities, almost everyone in this place dreamed of being an engineer. Jobs was gifted from an early age and grew up in a creative environment. Once, an engineer called Larry Lang gave Jobs a Heathkit, which could be used to assemble various radios. Jobs found the secrets of television assembly in this kit, and it opened up his world of innovation in electronics. Larry Lang also got Jobs into the Hewlett-Packard Explorers Club, where he could see the research process of some new technologies. One time, Jobs got the chance to visit a holography lab. It was the first time that Jobs saw the small computers that Hewlett-Packard was developing. It was huge and weighed about 40 pounds, but Jobs fell in love with it the moment he saw it. Growing up in such a diversified environment, Jobs showed great interest in mathematics, science, and developed his practical skills as well. The inclusive culture of Silicon Valley made Jobs hopeful about the emerging electronics industry. If the culture of Silicon Valley kindled Jobs' enthusiasm for electronics technology, then it was the prevalent hippie culture that liberated his nature. During the 1960s, a group of young people in the Western society started to show their contempt for traditions. They chose to stay away from the mainstream and express their rebellion against reality with a counterculture lifestyle. They loved rock music, took LSD, smoked pot, and pursued Zen Buddhism, all for the purpose of self-expression and spiritual enlightenment. The mingling of hippie culture and the power of computers meant the combination of ideas and technology. This was well manifested in Jobs. In the last 2 years of high school, Jobs not only indulged himself in the geek world, but also made literature and creative endeavors. He loved music, especially Bach and Bob Dylan. In the end, it was Zen Buddhism that influenced Jobs the most, which brought him to another world. Jobs found that Buddhism focuses on one's inner world. Through the concentration of the mind, one can intuitively experience wisdom and cognition. Jobs was almost obsessed with Zen. He became a serious vegetarian, eating only fruits and vegetables. For some time, the color of his face even turned orange, because, as it was said, he had eaten too many carrots. Later, Jobs took a 7-month spiritual journey in India. This magical trip to India completely changed his mind. Daniel Kaki, a friend of Jobs who was just as crazy for Zen, said that Jobs went to India partly because he didn't know who his biological parents were. He wanted to know where he came from, and where he should go. His spiritual journey in India had a profound impact on Jobs' outlook on life and his worldview. After the trip, Jobs found that, while the Westerners are good at identifying and solving problems with rational thinking, they might be limited when faced with difficulties. The Easterners, however, never trained for rational thinking, make their judgments intuitively when facing obstacles. When one calms down, one starts to see things more clearly, and be in the present more. As a result, one's horizon will broaden and problems can be solved easily. All this being said, we see two contradictory sides in Jobs. On the one hand, he loved science and technology, advocated liberalism, and was extremely open-minded. On the other hand, because he was once abandoned, he was very sensitive, and lacked a sense of security, but his desire for control was strong. It was exactly this combination of humanity and scientific talent in Jobs' strong personality that produced his creativity and would incessantly drive Jobs to create Apple products. It was destined for him to be the indispensable key figure of Apple in the future. Now let's summarize what we have talked about in the first part. First, we talked about how being abandoned by his biological parents made Jobs sensitive and independent. Then we talked about how the culture of Silicon Valley kindled Jobs' great passion for electronics. Finally, we learned how the hippie culture and Zen Buddhism allowed Jobs to find a spiritual practice, liberated his personality, and opened up his horizons. Today we are just sharing limited Bookie. To unlock more key insights of world-class bestseller, please download our app. Just search for Biokey at Apple Store or Google Play. You will get 7 days free trial with more features.